And we are back. Here is another episode of the Clever Angle Podcast. My guest today is Jordan Owen. Some of you might have recognized Jordan from either the Watch List Wednesday podcast, or he actually did one of the second episode of the Clever Angle.
Sure.
Jordan was a guest on there talking about finance. Jordan, brother, how are you doing, man?
Dude, it's good to be back on a podcast with you. I mean, that's all that matters, right?
Jordan, can you just tell us a little bit about what you've been up to since we've done that podcast?
Man. It's been a
2020,
whole,
so.
it's been a whole nother, it was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So 2020, so I left Jonesboro and come down to Orlando, Florida to join a construction firm. So I was doing some consulting work with them for, sales teams and things like that. And I think this is a good conversation that we're going to have, because a lot of your people that listen to this podcast, don't know what they want to do, or kind of are stuck in a position where you don't know, am I doing the right thing? And I'll say this, now, since moving down to Florida, now I host 3 trivia shows around Orlando, and have a pretty thriving little side business there. I do play-by-play for the arena football team. During that, I was on the TV broadcast this year, got picked up by ESPN, and during the day, I'm a day walker doing the construction stuff. So, I do a little bit of everything around here.
Yeah, you're just a man that wears many hats. You know what I mean? Always into something. So tell me, how did you get sparked into that? When we last talked, finance was something that, you were really good at, talking to people, negotiating, just the natural things that you need in a sales-like job like that.
Sure.
Yes, you're giving financial advice, but I am in the camp now, as I've expanded my knowledge, that pretty much everything is sales, and you were really good at that. So what made you want to say, hey, I'm packing up everything, I'm going to Florida, I'm going to go for a construction company? I mean, you're a 7.
Dude,
so, I mean, that's right up your alley.
I mean, so here's the thing. You said it right. Everything is sales. But for me, I wanted to, what you're doing. So I don't know when this is going to come out, but at the time of recording, you guys are in the middle of a snowstorm and it's 0 degrees outside. And
absolutely,
yeah. That was happening to me when I was in Arkansas, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't sit there and just want to be around 0 degree weather. So I was like, I want to move to Florida. What kind of careers are in Florida? And this construction company called me. They saw my resume, and it was very sales-based, leading team-based, things like that. And so they asked me, hey, would you be interested in coming down, working with us and working with our sales teams and trying to grow that kind of division that we're doing? And initially wasn't interested in it, but after talking with them, I was like, yeah, that sounds like I wanted to do something new, and that was the easiest career path to get into it. And I feel like you can take and do what you want, just you got to make it yours in any kind of career. And I say that, maybe you're an accountant, but if you can really look hard enough and know the right people and are friendly enough, you can meet the right people to make any kind of career what you want. And that's what I've kind of turned this one into at this point.
Yeah. So, I mean, as someone that's kind of rooted where he is, I've got a lot of reasons for why I've decided to stay in Jonesboro. Family was being the biggest one. And that's, my young daughters growing up. I want them to be able to be around their grandparents and grow up, because that's something that I didn't have. So to me, especially in my early 30s, that's something that is very important to me. I
Sure.
want to start ranking the things that I can be happy doing. Obviously, my ultimate goal is to make it doing podcasting. That's my ultimate goal, and I'm going to keep working towards that goal. Cool thing about podcasting is I can connect with you all the way in Florida, still in Jonesboro,
Right.
Arkansas. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So you said weather was a big thing, and initially that it didn't sound like something that you wanted to do. That was just enough for you to just kind of just put it all on red and move to
Yeah.
Florida, not knowing
Yeah.
anybody?
Honestly, it was, but you know me, I feel like I don't go into places where I don't know anybody. And that's, if I have one skill in this world, I feel like you could drop me in Bozeman, Montana, and you come back and check on me in 3 months. And, I found a restaurant that I know everybody in the restaurant. I found a bar that I know the bartenders, and that's just what I do. And so it was nothing to move to Florida and kind of start that over. And now it's just something, man. It's fun to do. And I don't know if Orlando, I visited Orlando, so it just felt very welcoming the times that I visited. And so I was like, I just want to be around warm weather. I want to be, around the beach. I want to be around water, sunshine. So no other place than sunny Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, so take me through what that process was moving from Arkansas to Florida. Like, what was your last days like in Arkansas, and what feeling were you experiencing when you were getting ready to move?
And so, I mean, it was kind of a little bit of not regret, but just sadness of leaving, because that's all I'd ever known. For 30 years, I grew up, in the same house around you, 10, 15 minutes from where you were. That's all I ever known. And it was kind of scary going to, an area where there's like 2 million people, around this Orlando area, not necessarily in Orlando, but around the Orlando area. So I was sitting there and just kind of scared to jump in. But there was a video by Steve Harvey, and it said jump, just jump, just jump. And I watched it like 1,000 times. I watched it 1,000 times. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. But again, the saddest part was the relationships that I built. Like, again, saying that what I just said, I went into like 3 restaurants around Jonesboro that paid for my last meal and said, hey, we loved having you. Thanks for coming. And, Q49, Mama Sang, places like that I had developed meaningful relationships just outside my daily friendship. That's, leading those relationships were the toughest, but trying to find new ones were just as much fun.
Yeah, so you packed up your life.
Yeah.
You left like Simba. Obviously, the son always comes back home eventually.
The
So
prodigal
we
son,
weren't worried
yeah.
about that. But you know, what was it like when you got to Florida? Like, where do you stay in Orlando? Do you stay kind of outside? Like, you're in Winter Park. Is that where you're at? Or
Yeah.
am
So,
I
dude, I was right in
mistaken?
the middle of it. So I'm about 1.5 miles from downtown. Uh, and I just got lucky. I honestly got lucky. I was on a Facebook page that told me, it said, hey, man, I was like, where do I move in Orlando? Where? And everybody said, Winter Park, Winter Park, Winter Park. It is a little bougie, but it's the nicest part of Winter Park. And so I got lucky, and then I ended up seeing a flyer that said, hey, trivia night at this pub. And it was like 1 mile from my apartment. So I just walked there my first night. I did walk there, and I was like, all right, I want to go do this trivia night, and went. And the trivia host was a young guy like myself, and he was just hanging out, drinking, having a good time, partying, and cutting up with everybody. I'm like, dude, that's what I want to do. I want to go ahead. And so I just introduced myself to him, and we started hanging out. And then he's helped me grow every friendship I've had down here.
Yeah, so you're down here. You're in a new place. You just started introducing yourself to getting yourself acclimated as Jordan would do.
Yeah.
And so you move in. You're getting ready to start your job. What is it like doing the construction off the rip?
So honestly, it's not exact. It's almost exactly like what I was doing. I'm just using a different vehicle, and so I say that I'm still talking and communicating with people every day. Like that's not changing. I was doing that in finance. I'm doing that now.
What is your exact role? What's your exact role at your company?
So what I do now is I'm a project coordinator. So I'm the first person you see on a job. So when somebody calls our construction company and says, hey, I want to build, I want to add 2 bedrooms to the back of my house, and I want to build redo my kitchen. I'm the first person you see. I come out, introduce myself, myself to the company, and I kind of get you acclimated to what it's going to be like for the next, whatever, 4 or 5 months of what you're going to go through, walk them through, hey, this is what's going to happen around your house. This is what's going to go in here. This is what the money looks like. And then I'm that contact the whole way through. If anybody that listening here has ever worked with a contractor, sometimes it's not a fun experience because those guys are always busy. They're running around. Some of them don't talk the best to people. They're very good at building houses, but, maintaining meaningful relationships is not what they're best at. And that's what I'm best at. So I worked with the owner hand in hand. His name's Dan. He's not the relationship building type. That's kind of my job. And so I build the relationship with the client, the homeowner, and I'm that filter between him to the homeowner and the homeowner to him, and so me and him work as a team, and we've built a pretty good, successful thing going on.
So I want to go back to one thing of how you got here.
Yeah.
So how did they find you? You said they were looking over your resume and somebody called you. Was this because you were updating your resume on LinkedIn?
On Indeed.
On
Indeed. Yeah. Indeed. So I was on Indeed, and I kind of just posted my resume on Indeed, and it was more around like sales jobs around Orlando, and I was actually doing it out of Tampa because I thought I was going to move to Tampa, and this construction company out of Orlando called me and was like, hey, your resume looks weird, but you don't look like you have any kind of construction background, but that's not necessarily what we need. We need somebody who can maintain and keep relationships going. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I do. So they needed somebody that could be, a face of what they're doing. And, that's just what I'm doing.
So were there any other job options, or was this like one of the first opportunities you got and then you just kind of jumped on it? Or
no, I had about 3 or 4 other options. I still had the finance option. I could still go to about 2 or 3 places that were looking at hiring finance, to do some sort of account manager to, advisor, because I still held all my license. So there was a bunch of people doing that, but in that world, man, I was tired of wearing a suit every day. I was tired of it. I mean, right now I get to rock a polo and maybe a pair of joggers or a pair of jeans. If I'm going out to meet clients, I'm wearing jeans. But if I'm in the office all day, I'm on a lake with a pair of t-shirt and shorts on. So, I mean, I'm kind of living the life that I wanted to live.
So as far as job satisfaction goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you're at in this current job right now?
That's a tricky question because I don't necessarily love the job title in the job, but I love what the job allows me to do because it allows me to meet so many new people around Orlando. Like, fun fact, I mean, I'm not going to say it, but I'm doing a project right now for somebody who's very high up in EA Sports. I know when the new game's going to come out. We might need to bleep that out, but I know when the new college football game's coming out, and so
I know if somebody from EA Sports hears this, that's when I know I've made it. That's when I know I made it. So,
like that's seriously, like I developed a lot of meaningful relationships around people around Orlando, and that's what I like. I don't necessarily love the day-to-day of like, maybe something's messed up at a homeowner's house and I have to hear about it and I have to deal with it. That's not always the fun part. And sometimes clients get upset because expectations are not met, something like that. Man, that's not a fun part of the job, but connecting with a lot of people around Orlando, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And I like that part of my job because it's allowed me to do, like I said, I now host trivia shows. I now get to do play-by-play for the arena football team. I get to do tons of like private events that I MC and host private events. Like, I would have never gotten to do that without what I'm doing. So I've made the best of my current situation.
No, I 100% get that. And there's a stat that I put on the podcast Instagram. Every 4.1 years, an American changes career paths.
Yeah.
Would you say that your dream job is still out there? And if so, what would you consider your dream job?
I would say something with the microphone in my hand. I mean, whatever that may be. I'm not kind of narrowed it down just yet, but I think that's my favorite thing to do on the planet. Host something of some sort. But I also love owning my own business too. And I think in the current role that I'm in, my goal is to own my own construction business at this point. So I'm very in depth in the world.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very hands on in this world, and I'm getting a lot of things that I really like to do. But I just there's a lot of things that I want to do. I want to own my own construction company. Kevin, we talked about I want to open up a barbecue place here in Orlando that has like stand up comedy, live music, trivia shows. Like I want to do that too, and that's something on my list. And then I want to keep doing the TV stuff. I mean, being on TV, hey man, it's kind of fun.
No, absolutely. And the cool thing about it is, and one thing that I want people to be able to get out of this show is you're not stuck. You're not stuck anywhere. You are able to switch to things that light you up. Um, One of the great things about what I've learned through podcasting is, you know, just because you go to college to get a degree for something doesn't mean you have to do that for 30 years. Doesn't mean that you have to be,
Absolutely not.
you don't have to be a teacher just because you got a teaching degree. We are still in a position where we can change and we can go to on to different things. So um having those interests and knowing that about yourself, knowing that um there's a lot that you want to do and it might not all be in the same thing, and we're still growing and we're still getting to know ourselves, man. There's things that I'm doing right now that 10 years ago I promise you I would not have ever seen myself doing, been interested in, and that sort of thing. So that's really cool that you're allowing yourself to, kind of learn and get to know yourself in all those different areas.
Dude, you hit it on my degrees in education too. Like, you know what I mean? So I just, yeah, I mean, we talked about it at the very beginning. I was going to be a coach. That was what I was going to be. And
Yeah.
now we're 3 or 4 years down the road. And I mean, this is something I would have never thought I would have been doing, Tevin. But the other night, a little bit, I was hosting a show that probably around 150 to 200 people were there. And I'm sitting here getting to control the music, the way the crowd feels, the ups and the downs, and like, man, I never would have thought I'd ever been doing that, and that's it, and then that right there, that's the most fun I've ever had is a packed house. We have a packed show. Everybody's having a good time, crowds booing. Dude, I got booed. And I thought that it was going to be the worst thing ever. And something changes in your body where you just kind of feel at home with it. And it's just, you got to put yourself out of your comfort zone. As I think is what I'm trying to say there. And you got to put
Why did
yourself
you
out of
get
your comfort
booed?
zone. I messed up, so I literally messed something up. And you know me, I'm not the best at focus. I can talk out my ass. Sorry, I mean, I don't know if we cuss on the clever angle, but I talk out my butt sometimes, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and I mess something up. And it was more of a playful boo, but it could get to you if you don't watch out. And I think the resiliency of just knowing that I'm grateful of doing this and having a good time. So it's making me extremely grateful. I just rolled with the punches, kept it going, and dude, yes, you're not stuck. To the long story short, you can literally do whatever you want at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, man, it's just gonna make you resilient. And a lot of people would have given up right then. You get booed and you're doing something, oh man, it must be me. You get inside your head and you do all these different types of things. And I learned a lot of that from playing tennis. Like it's such a lonely sport, so you're in your head a lot. You're thinking a lot on the
Yeah,
court,
absolutely.
and so to be able to put yourself out there, man, just even us doing this podcast, dude. Anybody that listens to it, that like, unless you've sat in this seat, unless you've done what I've done, you don't really know what is how it feels to be on this side. You know what I mean? So like just the ability to get outside your comfort zone. Do something that you normally wouldn't do. Do something even though in spite of being scared. That's real courage
Dude,
to do that.
so I'll tell you this, everybody that listens to this show, there's going to be a time where somebody's going to ask you to do something, and your answer is going to have to be yes or no. I encourage you just to at least 70% of the time say yes, because you never know what you're going to get out of it. And that's the only reason I am where I am today, is because I've said yes to probably about 90% of when somebody asks me to do something. Yes. Yeah. Whether I know how to do it or not. Like my first trivia show, he goes, "Hey man, you want to host this show downtown Orlando?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I never had hosted before in my life. I didn't know what I was doing. I just showed up, tried it. And then, probably 3 shows later, all of a sudden the guy who plays Neville Longbottom from Harry Potter walks in the bar because he lives in Orlando. And I'm sitting here drinking a beer with him and just watching a trivia show, having a good time. But, it's like, if I wouldn't have said yes to that opportunity, I probably wouldn't have had that opportunity to just sit and get hammered with Neville Longbottom.
Yeah, and you mentioned that one of the first things that you did when you got into town was, you went down to the local pub and you met a guy that was hosting trivia.
Yeah.
When did it become a thing to where they were asking you to host? Like, did you just build that rapport with one of the owners or somebody that was doing it, or, how did that kind of come about?
Well, so I'll give credit to his name's Nick Siddle, and I'll give a ton of credit to that guy. He just knows, he builds juries. He's an attorney and he picks juries for a living. And one of the things he knows is he knows how to read people pretty well, and I introduced myself to him. We started hanging out and I told him, I was like, "Dude, yeah, I'm on a podcast called Watch List Wednesday, and that was in the era, Tevin, of me trying to tell
Shameless
everybody,
plug,
I'm trying to tell
getting it
everybody,
out there.
and then he was like, okay. So we started talking and hanging out more. And he was like, would you ever want to do something like this? And I was like, hell yeah, dude, yes. Put me in front of a microphone. I'll do anything. Absolutely. And he was like, all right, sounds good. And it was probably 3 months from the first time I set foot into the door of that trivia show from the time I hosted a trivia show. So I'd say probably 3 months.
Yeah, and you have that outward personality you're 6'6", for goodness gracious. You're intimidating whoever you're around anyway. You basically probably just walked up to the guy and was like, "Hey, give me a shot," and they just did it. So
No.
for us regular sized people out there and someone that might be an introvert, what are some advice that you would have to being more extroverted and taking chances, even though it's really still not outside it's outside their comfort zone.
Sure. So a couple things. Nobody cares about you. So when you think that everybody's thinking about you, everybody's thinking about themselves. Everybody's so worried about the way they look. Everybody's worried about if their shoes look fine with their outfit. Like nobody's thinking about you 24/7. So just kind of don't take yourself so seriously. Just kind of breathe for a second. But I will say probably the most important thing I can do is be nice to everybody that you meet. Like, shake their hand, laugh, cut a joke with them, and make everybody has that one friend that you love and you feel welcome with, right? And, from Kevin, as me and you, when we see each other, we dap each other up, we hug each other. And I do that. Like, I try to make everybody feel like they're my best friend. And all that's done is to make sure, and I treat everybody with respect, whether it's the hostess at the bar, whether it's the owner of the bar. I treat everybody with the same level of respect. They all get a, "Hey, how's it going? How was your day?" They all get the same level of respect from me. And I think for an introvert or for anybody who's wanting to break into a field, if you act like that, people are going to want to be around you. And they're going to, when they think of opportunities to give somebody, they're going to give it to you because you're a joy to be around.
Has there ever been a situation, whether you're hosting trivia or in your construction job or just any time that you've been in Orlando, where you've made a fool out of yourself, got embarrassed in some kind of way?
All the time, Tevin. All the time. I hosted a show. They asked me to fill in for a show, and they're like, "Hey, can you fill in at this bar?" I got there, the mic did not work, and at a huge bar, So it's like, for Jonesboro's terms, like, let's put at the back of Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
Okay. Okay.
That's about the size of the trivia show, and it was packed. No seat was empty. So I stood on the bar and yelled the questions because I wasn't, I mean, everybody come to play trivia, and the mic did not work. I was 20 minutes outside of Orlando, so I couldn't run, get a different mic and come back. So like the trivia show had to go on. So I literally stood on the bar and yelled the answers the entire time. And, that everybody was like, this was so unique and so crazy. Some people thought it was terrible, but some people thought it was unique and fun, and was just like, absolutely, dude, that was so embarrassing having to stand on a bar, admit that my mic did not work, that I brought, and so it was either suck it up, go home and pout, but they pay me to do this, man. They pay me to put on a show. So I'm going to do it no matter what.
Have I ever told you the geography B story from grade school?
No.
Okay, so 6th grade, we had a geography B. I don't know why they decided that in 6th grade we were going to have a geography B.
Dude, we went to the same 6th grade. I know exactly. Yeah, I was in the geography
B. So they had like this initial test, like, hey, I can't even remember, like top 5, top 6 from each class that does good on this geography test quiz for their geography B. It's going to be in the geography B in front of the whole school, right? So, quick side note, geography is like my worst subject ever, but I'm sitting behind David Hornbeck, and I just I don't know what possessed me, but I was like, I'm going to just cheat on this geography quiz, bro. I was like, I'm going out there. I'm getting on this geography B list. So obviously cheat, like China was one of the answers to one of the questions. I'm like, okay, cool. They call my name, and it's time to go out there for the geography B, like this like a week later or something. And I'm out here, bro. I'm telling you, I don't know anything about geography now. I'd probably still get waxed by some 6th graders in geography. But I go out there, and they've got like this map. They've got this globe, and you're having to identify these different things in the geography B. And I'm just clueless, bro. Clueless. So I say China 3 times in a row, and I just get eliminated and have to sit down. And that was like one of the most embarrassing things ever. I'm like, dude, I put myself in this position on purpose. It's my own fault. And I still, to this day, it's just one of those things that just kind of haunt me.
So you want to know something like small world moment? I was in the same geography B. I made it to, and we were in the gym. We were in the gymnasium.
Yes. Yeah.
I was there. I was in it, and got eliminated immediately.
Yeah. Immediately. Absolutely. I think Weston Weeks won the geography B or something like that. But I'm just like, dude, why did I care so much about being in this thing? Like, I mean, obviously I wasn't interested in it because I never took it really seriously. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I was in Miss Stepford's class. I don't know if you remember Miss Stepford, but I was in Miss Stepford's class. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So
nobody cares. You're right though. Nobody cares.
Yeah. So what are some lessons that you would say that you have learned since being in Florida? Like 2 or 3 top things that you've learned since leaving home.
So it's okay to be scared. Like, so
dropping gems out here already out the gate.
So what you're seeing now is I just moved into a brand new house, and it's a 2-bedroom. It's a 2-bedroom house. It's bigger than it's probably on the top side of my budget of what I can afford. And I had to literally call my mom the other day because I was scared, dude. And I was like, not that I, it's just, what if it all went away, And that's the first thought, when you do something that's out of your comfort zone, or you take a risk on something, could it all go away, And then my mom looked at me and goes, Jordan, you work so hard that no matter what, if you lost everything today, you'll still be fine because, you'll always find a way out of it because of your work ethic, And so I was like, yeah. Then I looked at myself and I was like, oh, I could afford this place if I host 5 shows a week, trivia shows a week. And I just, okay, I'm
That's
good.
the interesting thing. That's the interesting thing, Jordan. Once you open your mind to different thoughts, you start thinking of ways to be able to do that. So, like, if you want to make $100,000, you probably never thought about that before. But once you start thinking about it every day, your mind starts saying, "Okay, how can we make this happen?
You
How
figure out
can
a
we
way,
get
like
exactly,
you figure a
exactly,
way out. And that, yeah, you're exactly right, Kevin. And so that was, be okay to be scared in that moment because you never know who you're going to talk to and they might open up something, in your mind. And I'm like, man, I just didn't even think about that because I was so freaked out in the moment that the most logical answer never came to my head, you know? So that was one of the biggest lessons of here moving to Florida. Like I've always went in with just kind of a bull in a china shop, rhinoceros forward energy. And being retrospective one time and being scared, my mom dropped a huge gem on me that just was not expecting. And the second thing is you control how you treat everybody around you. So if you're not liked or people don't like you or people, are standoffish towards you, it's because of you. It's not because of anybody else around you. And I think that a lot of people today are upset with the current situations. They think people don't like them. And it's like, man, if you would just take a second and just literally from wherever you walk into somebody, I said that earlier, Tevin, if you just treat everybody with warm and welcoming embrace and remember their names and talk to them and just do the bare minimum, man, your life's going to open up. Because I'll tell you this, I've made okay money in Arkansas from time to time, but like I hosted a trivia show and one client that she came in, we started having a good time. I started giving their team hell a little bit. We had fun. At the end of the day, she asked me what I do. I said construction. Me and you had a phone call about it. I was like, Kevin, you will not believe the check that I just cashed from one person that I didn't even know existed 10 days ago, to the point where we're sitting there and she's handed me over as much business as I can handle because she loved the way that I was nice to everybody in the bar. She was like, oh yeah, I want to work with that guy. So everybody's watching. Everybody's watching how you treat people, but everybody is also worried about themselves. So don't take yourself too seriously. And it's okay to get scared. Those are my like kind of lessons that I would teach somebody.
Absolutely, man. And those are powerful lessons that I know a lot of people are going to get value out of. So I've got a question that I'm going to start asking my guest. And do you think in 2024 that college is overrated?
Can I answer yes and no?
Yes, and I want to hear why.
Okay. For the traditional education, yes. I think so. Yes. But what I've learned from my time in college was there was a lot of times where I learned critical thinking skills that helped me today a lot. And so I don't think that
see now you sounded like a politician now, because I think that you would have been the same Jordan Owen with or without college.
Maybe. And you're probably right. You're probably right.
The thing is, the time that you spent in Orlando, those 4 years, now it's 2024. Yeah. So 2020 is when you were still here rocking with me in Jonesboro.
Yeah.
That same 4 years would have been the same amount of time someone would have spent getting an undergraduate degree. You know what I'm saying? So this life experience, going out here, being in the field, shaking hands, learning that networking is powerful. How you treat people, respect. It's okay to be scared. Those are things that I didn't learn in college. I don't know if you did.
I didn't. I didn't. No. I didn't do that. But I just think like, man, there's some things that I did. Like I learned how to be, and I don't know if it's now this way it is, but there's just so many more ideas out there than yours. And I think but I don't think I needed to pay $50,000 to learn that. That's why I say that, because I think it is important to learn. There's a lot of skills that you can learn that are not, education
Yeah.
based, but
Let me ask you this then. Let me
shoot,
ask you this, because your answer was yes and no, so you're trying to play the fence of it instead of giving a definitive answer here.
I'm going to say
But
no
do
then.
you
No.
do so? Okay, so let me. I'm still challenging your
Okay.
idea
All
here.
right. Let's hear it.
So, do you think that with the way that technology is, the internet is, we live in the most information at your fingertips era that I think we've ever lived in.
Yeah.
Do you not think that a lot of the same things that you would learn by paying somebody, like if I paid $50,000 outside of college, like if I just had 50K and I could just spend it on education, learning the things that I wanted to learn, and this and that, marketing, whatever it is, I feel
Yeah.
like I could use it better than going to organize school. So that was basically the thing. Like if someone gave me a $50,000 loan, it was like, okay, you can get all the education you want. It wouldn't be in the capacity of school. It'd be, courses. It'd be, all right,
Yes.
now
Yeah. Yeah. So
I got 50,000, so now I can afford to do like a non-paid internship. If I had
yeah.
50K, I'm like, I can go work under that carpenter for free or whatever, and not have to worry about bills.
Yeah.
Versus like that's just going towards tuition, and I'm still having to work in college. And I get it. There's still a place for college, because I think that there are certain degrees that obviously I want my educators, I want my doctors, I want all these people to be certified and educated. But I mean, like, can we start shedding some light on an art degree probably isn't the best thing for an artist? An exercise science degree, that's not something that people are. If you're a good personal trainer, and I can see like, okay, Jordan's jacked. He obviously knows how he got jacked. I'm not asking for your credentials if you're my personal trainer
Yeah.
or my personal chef. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
if you
yeah,
can throw it down in
Kevin,
the kitchen, you
you're
can throw it down.
100%. Yeah, you're 100% right. So I say that too. I wanted to try to I did toe the line of there are some skills, but like there's a guy on Instagram. I don't know. His name's David Meltzer. I don't know if you've ever fought him, but he taught me 9,000% more of business and gratitude and things like that than I'd ever did learn in college. And he would gladly take my $50,000, and I probably would have made it a whole lot more. So yeah, I do. I'm like you. Hey, my lawyers, my teachers, my doctors, I do want them to do school. I want them to be certified. I want them to be the best of the best. But man, there's so many ways to get around the bases at this point. You don't have to go the traditional path.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You used to have to go first, second, third home. Now you don't even have to do that anymore. You can go any which way you want to.
No, and I think that it's because that there's so much more opportunity, access to information, and a lot of things that before, if you wanted to know X, you couldn't just go to the internet. You couldn't ask Google or Chat GPT or all of these things. Like there's opportunities. Like if I want to learn coding, I can learn coding just directly. I can go to these websites like Udemy and Skillshare and all of these things where people have put in time to make these courses. And instead of giving it to this university, I can give it to someone that's worked hard and created this platform and learn things that way and get to choose at like a lot lower clip as far as the financial compensation. So
right.
I'm just to the point where like I get it. Higher education has its place and it always will. But for the people that don't really know what they want to do, I wish that there was less funneling them into just kind of making this rash life decision at 18. Then like, hey, maybe you should check out a trade school. Maybe you should just work, or maybe you should read these 10 books, or whatever it is, because I suffer from that type of education where I went through this entire game of game of life, or 12th grade. Now I'm a freshman in college, and now and you know what I felt after I graduated? I felt like empty, because I felt like I was at the end of the rope, and then I didn't get what they promised me. I didn't get a job.
The job you didn't get
exactly.
You didn't get the end of the rainbow. And look, everybody look at me dead in the face. If you want to go be a plumber, go be a plumber. Yeah. Because I pay plumbers so much money being in the construction world right now, like plumbers, electricians, and those guys are going away.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Those are trades, man. Those are trades that you don't have to go to college and get a degree. You can go straight to a trade school for a fifth of the cost, like $10K. You can be a plumber. You can
Right.
be an electrician. You can do all of these things, and those are the backbone and which our society is built on. And I absolutely, like, I promise you, if I could go back, bro, I'm Tevin McGee, the heating and air guy. I'm Tevin McGee, the
Brother.
electrician. I'm starting my own business because, one, you're still owning your own business in a sense to where you get to control your own time, to where I can do more of these things. Or, if I go back, maybe now that I know myself a little bit better, I know that I value that time off and being able to be with my parents. Maybe I do go the route of becoming a teacher, because, like, okay, I'm off in the summer. I'm not going to coach. I've seen how people go down the coaching road, and you don't have any time off if you're a coach. Maybe I'm just Tevin, the fourth grade science teacher, and I'm off on Martin Luther King Day, and I'm off on spring break, and I'm off on
And that's a
Christmas break
pretty
in the
good
summer.
life. And that's
Exactly.
a pretty good, yeah.
And guess what? I'm still podcasting during the summer. I'm still
Yeah.
doing all these things that I get to love. Maybe I got a garden. I don't know. Like, but now that I'm starting to figure out, like, what
Yeah.
I know a little bit more about myself now,
Yeah.
than I did at 18, when I was just kind of just fed, like, this is the next thing that you do. And
Yeah.
you're almost kind of penalized when you don't know and props to the people. Like, if you're 18 and you knew exactly what you want to do, like,
Good
you were
for
in
you.
you were in the minority, I promise you, because a lot
Yeah.
of us were still, chasing our ex-girlfriend that was, broke our heart from 3 years ago, and all that. Like, our brains weren't fully developed to even kind of
Yeah.
make those decisions. And here
Right.
I am signing this FAFSA of, $20K a semester, and I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine, and not really
Yeah.
knowing the ramifications of what I was getting myself into.
Right. No, I understand 100%. I agree with you.
So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you, taking the time to sit down and kind of talk about what you've been doing, because you're a prime example of, you can switch it up and you can be happier and you can keep evolving into something that, you're not done yet. You're still in transition. You're still moving through the journey. And that's the best part, to be able to, know where you want to go, but enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Experience things. Stop to smell the roses, the flowers, meet the people along the way.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And I told you when you first started this, it's a genius idea. So just keep it going. I love you. And thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Yeah, this has been another episode of the Clever Angle podcast. Thanks again to our host, Jordan, for taking the time to sit down with us. Follow us on all socials at The Clever Angle. Subscribe on YouTube if you're listening on there or watching on there. And until next time, peace.
Peace out.